Ooh, burping. Sorry. Just getting a little writing in today. Not a lot. Little. Hoping some people come on and I can chit chat. Chad Lusky, how you been, Armando? Armando been good. How you been, Chad? There's Mr. Frank. There he is. The goal today is to finish this short story. It's Superfluous Wednesday. Superfluous Wednesday is right. I mean, the flow is today just super. They're trying to trick me with the weather here. It says 86 degrees out. I'm like, oh, it's not 90. But then I look and it says it feels like 97. So still too hot. Been okay, busy reading a lot of Raymond Carver stories. Very nice, very nice. So like 75 in the dirty jers. Really, 75. That must be nice. I mean, there's a nice breeze out, but it's still too fucking hot. I want to open windows. Any relation to George Washington Carver or Carver Pike? Is actually love child. Raymond Carver is the love child of George Washington Carver and Carver Pike. True story. Can't remember the last time I opened the friggin' windows. It's been months. I would love to just open every window and just air this place out, especially after MondoCon. Probably both of them. That's my answer. That is quite the salacious tidbit. I want to remind everybody to resubscribe or subscribe, and also to follow me on the YouTube. Remember tidbits. I remember that dude. He used to hang around in Perth Amboy, right? Knew the pizza place. Wonder how Tidbits is doing. Rue were like fake Cheez-Its. I don't even know who the hell you're even talking to. That chick Rue was fake like Cheez-Its, though. They were like fake Cheez-Its. Or they were Tidbits. I don't remember. Excuse me. I remember Tidbits. They're shaped like hot dogs. Cheese stick nips. Guess I need to talk about this Bon Jovi doc and how come they keep talking about me in it. Yeah, I know. It was ridiculous. The amount of times that Frank Edler was mentioned in it. There was no talk of, in the Bon Jovi doc, there's no talk of my boy Matt Ory touring with them. There's no talk about Dave Sabo also toured with them on a tour or two. They talk about Bobby Bandera a lot, even though he basically didn't do much. I saw him back in the day at Club N.A., Bobby Bandera. Have you guys seen the Ronnie Dio doc? No, I have not. Is it on a channel? And what channel would it be on? I'm guessing they probably don't have that channel. They really made Richie Sambora out to be a total douchebag, though. Yes, Ronald James Padavona. They really made played in select theaters very well. Yeah, well then, I'm not going to a theater. Tell me when it's free on or on some pay station, and I'll watch it. I'm not going leaving my house for some documentary. You crazy? Me and my wife watched the Bon Jovi thing last night, and my wife, she's a fan of the songs, but after the documentary, she's not a fan of John Bon Jovi. She thinks he's just a pompous ass, and I'm not going to argue with her because he comes off like a douche Like his music is so blah blah blah. Can't remember what it's called now, but I saw it and freaked out when I saw a picture of me and Ronnie in the dock. I paused it and ran screaming through the house to get my wife. There's Amanda Ward in the house. I watched the Lacey Peterson doc over the weekend. I'm so sick of the Lacey Peterson story. We've seen it like 30 times on Investigation Discovery. I saw it was up there. I was like, I don't want to watch that. I know too much. There's Nicholas in. Also, all Bon Jovi music for me, after like the These Days album, which is my favorite album, by the way, of Bon Jovi. It has one good song on like every other album, to me. And then it gets to the point in the last, I don't know, once Richie left the band, like 10 years ago, everything he puts out, it sounds like the same song. It's the old man, uh, old person music that he's whining about getting old, basically. And I'm like, whatever. And like literally, they're playing. I'm like, is this a different song, or is this the same song we just heard 12 other times? No, it's a song like his voice is shot. I don't know. They all look old because I guess they're old. Like the new track, Sagging. Exactly, that song is not a good song. And especially when we got into their 2020 album, and like I went, oh, here we go. Let's the old white guys are gonna write about Black Lives Matter and racial equality and all this stuff because you grew up hurting with all those things. Everybody was against poor white middle class Bon Jovis in Sayreville. Come on. He has seen a million faces and he has rocked them all. That is very true. And he's just like, I just don't want to write those songs anymore. I'm like, because you're just too old to write good songs anymore, I guess. Not every songwriter has an unlimited supply of great music in them. Just like every writer doesn't have an unlimited supply of great stories in them. I don't know. I tried this morning. I was like, you know what? Let me listen to some of the two or three most listened to tracks on every album on Spotify, Bon Jovi, going back while I was doing my emails this morning. And they all just sound whiny and the same. Like 5 albums going back. It's like he's writing the same freaking one over and over and over. Not good. I do have two small personal Bon Jovi stories. Maybe I'll tell them later. Who knows? You might have already heard these stories, but they're my stories. It's also funny how Matt Bon Jovi, his brother, how different he looks now than that little punk ass kid. There's Nick. All right, you want to hear stories, Nick? All right. My first story is very, very simple. I was working in Red Bank, New Jersey in the 90s selling shoes. I was a shoe salesman. The guy who owned the store manager, Donnie, lived upstairs. And me and my buddy Mel were working. And he called and said, hey, he said to Mel, put Armand on the phone. I got on the phone. He's like, listen, there's a customer coming in. You need to help them. Okay? And you're going to have to tell Mel that you're the one who has to, you have to help him. Donnie said, and I'll just take the heat later. He doesn't want Mel. Mel's a little too weird. Like, all right, who is this person? He's like, somebody famous, you'll know when they walk in. Now, we would get some famous people in there buying shoes. What's his name? Shit, I can't even think of his name. The drummer for Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. That was his name. He was a cheap bastard. He would come in. And we'd get Geraldo Rivera and his wife at the time. They would come in and buy shoes. So anyway, we're hanging out, and I said to Mel, hey, somebody important's come in, but Donnie wants me to help him. Max Weinberg, thank you. Could not think of Max Weinberg. My brother also, side story, my brother also used to deliver pizza in Red Bank. And he delivered a pizza to Max Weinberg. And Max Weinberg, this is back in the 90s. So it wasn't, you basically just paid cash. No tip. Like he literally gave him the exact, oh, the pizza's $9.84. Here's $9 and here's 84 cents. Cheap bastard. Anyway, front door opens. Woman walks in with a little girl. Maybe 2 years old, this little girl. He goes and sits down. And Mel walks in. Hi, how can I help you? And she says, I'm here to see Armand. I say, okay, I walk over and I say, hey, how you do? She says, I just talked to Donnie. He said you were going to help me. I'm like, all right. So I'm staring. I'm like, I don't know who this woman is. Maybe the babies in Gerber commercials. I don't know. These people aren't famous to me. I don't know who the fuck these people are. So I start measuring the little girl's foot, and I'm playing around with her, and I'm putting shoes on. And then I look up, and this short little dude is standing over me. It's John Bon Jovi. And I realize this is Dorothea and their daughter getting shoes. And he's very quiet. And I just looked up, and I'm grew up big Bon Jovi fan. I just said, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, yeah. Hey, and he shakes my hand. He sits down next to his wife, and they're whispering and looking at their daughter, and I was just totally cool about it. Mel was pissed because he wasn't able to help him. And I sell him like 4 pairs of baby shoes, this little girl. And as we're sitting there, so we always had NEW was always on. That was the rock station out of New York at the time. I believe it was NEW. Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, but mid-90s, late 90s, had to be NEW. And what comes on, I don't remember what song, but a Bon Jovi song comes on. And I'm on my knees, and I'm putting shoes on the little girl. And I just start laughing. I look up at him, and he's got a smile on his face. And I said, I think Mel called a request in or something. And everybody laughed. And then I sold them some shoes. Like 4 pairs of shoes was like $60, something like that. And then he's doing this to his wife. Then his wife took out a $100 bill. I ring her up. Here's your $38, whatever is the change. John put his hand on it and slid it across the table, and he said, "Thank you for helping me, and thank you for not making it weird." And I said, "Not a problem." I said, "Come back and see me again." He says, "I definitely will." So once I happened upon Dorothea gambling all of John's money away at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. Bon Jovi wasn't with her, just his money, which, as I see it, was really my money. Yeah, thank you for buying all of his albums and stuff. She's gambling it. And so then they left. I never saw them again. I think Donnie helped them a couple more times after that before the store closed. But that was a good memory. And then of course years later I could say, oh yeah, that little girl I put 4 pairs of shoes on her. Yeah, she became like, I don't know, a heroin addict or something. She became a drug addict. So there you go. That was that. My other story is my daughter Caitlin, which most of you have met if you've been to my house, especially at MondoCon. Her and her boyfriend like to show up for free food. She was born in October of 2000. And I was still living in New Jersey then. I was about 7 or 8 months from moving to Florida. Anyway, her mother was going to go into labor. And she was like a couple of days late, and they said, just come down on this date, October 5th, and we will come to Red Bank and we'll do a C-section, whatever. So we started driving. We're going down 35, and they start moving us off the highway. Million cars in there. So we're going back roads. Now we're stopped. Dead stop. 40 cars in front of us. I see a police car up ahead. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And even back then I didn't like driving. She was driving. And so she gets out and she waddles over her 9-month pregnant body and talks to the cop, and then she waddles all the way back and she says, this motherfucker John Bon Jovi, because he lived in Middletown, right on the river there. The other side of the river is Red Bank. He says, this motherfucker has John Kerry here, and they're doing some political thing for John Kerry to be president. And so all the roads are blocked. Every road's, and the bridge going into Red Bank is basically nobody's coming or going. They got it blocked on both ways because of the, limos and all these people are going to be showing up. John Kerry should be here within the hour. So everything's blocked off. So then she's like, but I told the cop, I am pregnant. I have to deliver this baby right now. My water broke, which is a lie. So she gets in the car and she pulls right to the front of everybody. The cop holds up and he talks on his thing and then he says, go. And then we got to drive, what is that, Navesink River Road? We got to drive to the bridge. Nobody on the little Red Bank Bridge, which is awesome. No cars all the way to the hospital. We go to the hospital, and then several hours later we have Caitlin. She had Caitlin. I'd already done what I was going to do. So there you go. So there's our Bon Jovi story. And in the documentary, he talks about, the political stuff, Al Gore and John Kerry and all that. I was like, oh, probably that's... He got so hard in politics at one point, I swear he was going to run for mayor of Philadelphia or something. Yeah, he got very, very political there. And then, unfortunately, then it dripped into the music as well. So, like, dude, let the douchebag from U2 do that. You know what I'm saying? Let the guys from System of a Down do that. Rage Against the Machine, that garbage. But you're fucking Bon Jovi. Calm down. So there you go. There's my two Bon Jovi stories. My aunt, another real quick one. My Aunt Barbara and Uncle Kenny lived in Metuchen, Carteret, somewhere up there, whatever, and wherever it was that Richie Sambora grew up, and they were like 2 blocks over, and everybody knew Richie Sambora's mom. She was very, very loud. And so when they came out, my aunt was like, oh, have you heard about this band, Bon Jovi? I was like, no. And she's like, oh, one of the guy's neighbor's kid is in the band or something. Then I put 2 and 2 together like a year later when, because I wasn't huge on the first album when it came out. Like, I was just like, I was getting into heavier stuff. 83, I just really started listening to Maiden and Priest and all that stuff. So I was like, this is a little light for me. But by that second album, then I was like, all right, I'm in. It was like 85. I was like, I'm in. Nick Zinn says worth it. Yeah, worth every penny. The older he gets, the more like Springsteen. Oh, he's always tried to be Springsteen. He always tried to be Springsteen. And it's funny as a lot of the two of them in it. He does like his stage raps, especially when he was Atlantic City Expressway when he first started out. I mean, he was just basically copying Springsteen shit from the stage. It was kind of neat, though, that they showed the Fast Lane, which was a great club back in the day that I used to go to all the time. And the guitar player in the band, in Bon Jovi's band now, it was cool because he had Dingbats bar shirt on. I was like, holy shit. Been at Dingbats like 100 times. Never heard a Jovi album all the way through. I have not heard like the last 6 or 7 albums all the way through. In 83, I was all about Survivor and Stray Cats. Weren't we all, though? I mean, weren't we all? That's some great stuff, though. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day when I was 13 then. So what were you, like 2 years old? Adam Ant too. Yeah. I listened to on Spotify. I do like whatever the daily mix, and they had Ant music. I love that song. I still love that song. It's in my head right now. Archez, shoot. I admit it. What do you admit? Don't drink, don't smoke. What do you do? Yeah, all good. In '83, I was big into Ozzy, Sabbath, Dio, and Rainbow. That's like all I listened to. Still listen to Survivor. Not a bad band. Not a bad band at all, especially back in the day. Yeah, that's what I was listening to, Chad. I was into all. Yeah, you got to have listened to Wasp back then. '83 was a phenomenal year for metal albums, though. I was in junior high. We were all discovering, all those bands. And Iron Maiden's got a new album out. Priest got a new album out. Who's this Queensryche band? All good stuff. I saw something where what's his name from Wasp was bitching about some other band. I can't think of what it was now. Yeah, Maiden's the one in '82. That's I got Number of the Beast. My buddy Eric Goldberg. I went to his house after school, and at that point I was listening to Jay Giles Band, Joan Jett, and Billy Squier were my three main bands. Still listen to Squier though. That's what all I was really listening to. And some Def Leppard. And he's like, dude, I'm going to put this on and this is going to change your life. And I said, whatever. And he put on Number of the Beast, and like right from the intro, I was like, what the fuck are we listening to? And I looked at the album cover, I was like, holy crap, this is like Satan. This is the craziest shit ever. This is nuts. And that was it. From right there, I was like, I need more of this. And I remember there was Bradley's. It was Bradley's or it was Two Guys then in Middletown. Like a couple weeks later, I remember we went. And at that point, I really didn't have a record collection. The only thing is I had ever bought, I had 45s. I had I Love Rock and Roll, and I had Centerfold by Jay Giles. I had the 45s of those. And then I had the first three Billy Squier albums my mother had bought me. That was my record collection. And then I was like, all right, I listened. So then I saw, oh my God, Iron Maiden has more than this one album. And then I bought it, and it was Killers, and also the Made in Japan cassette EP. And then Eric Goldberg turned me on to all the other ones. But my first Judas Priest was British Steel. And obviously my first Maiden was Number of the Beast. Mr. Frank's my first Maiden was Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. By then I was already bored with a lot of their stuff. Up until that point, I loved every song on every album. Chad was 1 year from discovering Suicidal, Metallica, and Misfits. Right, same with me. Those were some of the bands that I picked up around that time as well. My first Priest was Painkiller. Wow, that's pretty late. My first Suicidal was Lights, Camera, Revolution. The first Suicidal, again, Eric Goldberg turned me on to that. He also turned me on to the Runaways. I was a big fan of the Runaways. I would buy a lot of imports. In Mattawan, there was a store that sold import albums. That's where I've already mentioned I bought the first couple of Loudness albums and didn't realize they were all sung in Japanese. I still haven't purchased my first Misfits album, but I did own that Danzig album with Mother. I got it for 1/10 of a penny from Columbia. I think you still owe them money. Yeah, I was, and then I started doing, when I was about 15, or so when I was 14, I got to go to Fountain Casino in Aberdeen, New Jersey, and see Twisted Sister headlining. Before they were big, I think You Can't Stop Rock and Roll had either just come out or it was coming out, but I remember they played songs from that with Metallica, one of their first East Coast shows, and Anthrax opening. Metallica didn't have an album out, and Anthrax didn't have an album out at that point. Because thanks to my cousin, she got me into that one. That was a great show, and then I started probably when I was 16 and started going to shows. Then I started bootlegging, and then I started recording songs. So me and George would go to a show, and I wear my camouflage pants, and then I would take the recorder and put it in my sock and put a rubber band around it so nothing would so it wouldn't move, and then I would run a wire up into my ear. And then you would go to a show and you would basically bend down like I'm tying my shoe, and I would hit record. And then the microphone was basically in my ear or sticking out of my back neck, and I probably recorded 100 and something shows. And then I would do tape trading. So I heard of a ton of bands from tape trading their demos and stuff. My first answer was "I'm the Man." Really? My first song, yeah, I'm sure it did. You were a yeah. Mr. Frank was a very late bloomer. You already passed some of the bigger albums. I remember I graduated in '88, and I remember by '89 and '90, I was already bored with a lot of the stuff. So I was already and this might be not an opinion that most people hold, but by the time Among the Living came out, I was just like, I've heard this before, and we're doing that. Now we all sound like Nuclear Assault with that bass sound because of Danny Loker. So every band is gonna do the funky slap bass, loose string bullshit, and like everybody's stuff was coming out at that point, and I was just like, there's like 2 or 3 good songs on like all of these albums, and that's it. I was very disappointed. I was not listening to Maiden or Priest or any of them really. I was listening to the older stuff. Even then, even at 20, I was an old man. I was like, I'm not really big into the new Anthrax or the new Maiden or the new when Metallica Black Album came out and every jock loved that album. I was like, no, I'm done with this band. I hate Bush because he's still my life. Among was my first Anthrax. Really. Now see, that was by that time because I had listened to the demos. I'd seen them when I was 14 years old. So I was a, I like Neil Turbin in the band. I love Joey. I mean, like the Armed and Dangerous EP when that thing came out, I remember buying that and just loving it. I just got really bored with a lot of stuff, and I started going heavier. Like, all right, we're gonna listen to, now I'm listening to black metal. Now I'm listening to death metal. Now I'm listening to, all right, yeah, I listened to Poison, and I listened to Bon Jovi and Cinderella and all those bands, and now all those bigger bands are putting out shitty albums, and you love the first Skid Row. That was about it. I loved all the local stuff. Ironically, I've been listening to SOD for 2 years before even hearing it. that is ironic. Yeah, it was another at the Obsessions in Randolph. I saw SOD, and I think the album had just come out. And I forget who played with them, but I think we went for the other band, really. I don't remember who they played on those shows with. Great stuff, though. So yeah, so it's like by the 90s, there's like, oh, grunge killed hair metal. No, hair metal killed hair metal. Because that 3rd and 4th and 5th wave of crappy bands were getting signed, who each had a ballad and one rocking song, Is the original singer for Metal Church dead? That I have no idea. I think it's only. I want to say it's only 2 members left in the from the original band. I think I read that somewhere. I don't know. Vane was awful. Salty Dog, remember them? Also awful. I mean, I'm sure our buddy John would be like, no, those bands are great. I blame Odin, who never did make it. Yeah, but they were in like Metal Forces magazine, like every other issue. Odin or I remember like a Salty Dog song, but I couldn't tell you the name of the song. Yeah, that's pretty much how I know Salty Dog. There were just way too many of those bands. Some of them I like. Jet Boy. Jet Boy I liked only because I saw them opening for Kicks like three nights in a row. They were pretty good. Raging Slab. So um, when we did the book signing in Belford, I remember that all the dudes that I grew up with, they were in bands. John Regan was the drummer for Raging Slab. I think he played on one of their later albums, but I know he toured with them uh, for a number of years. So yeah, he was a so Raging Slab had like that 1 or 2 songs. Bowden loves it. Oh, Bowden goes deep. Bowden is like been posting all week albums and bands and stuff, and like everything I'm like, I love these guys. Love those guys. This is what I love. Exactly. He posted Rock City Angels, which is the band that Johnny Depp was in, and they were set to sign with Geffen, and then Johnny Depp's management says, "You're not a rock musician. You're an actor, and this is the direction." So they made him quit the band. And one of the songs that he was only a rhythm guitar player in that band anyway. The only song he co-wrote had any part in is a song called "Mary" by them that got onto the first album from Geffen. Bowden can tell you the name of the guy who cleaned the dressing room after the London Choir Boys gig in Sheboygan in '92. Oh yeah, Bowden's got questions. I like Bowden's taste more than I like your taste, Chad. Not saying you have bad taste. I just like Bowden's taste better because he's into all that sleazy, obscure metal from like the '80s and '90s that I love. So yeah, he's posted a bunch. Every album he's posted, I'm like, yeah, I remember those guys. I remember those guys. It's just funny that I would love to get a. I would love to have all of my Metal Forces magazines back. Strangely, they turned Bowden onto Buck Cherry because he wouldn't give them a chance. Really? Huh. Buck Cherry does an excellent cover of Anything Anything from Dramarama, which is also one of my favorite bands of all time. Very non-metal, but a very Jersey band. I saw them play back in the day a couple times. John Easdale, the lead singer, I saw him solo a couple of times, and that is a great cover. There's like 7 or 8 covers of that song, but that might be my favorite one. That was another band that never made it, but should have made it. That's who they need a documentary on. Dramarama. They did one on Material Issue. Why not do one on Dramarama? Am I right? Of course I'm right. I guess I'm not finishing this short story today. I thought I was going to. I really need to finish it because I need a short story for Patreon for tomorrow. I figured, why not write something completely new? I'll probably finish it. I think my wife's working late tonight, so I probably will have no choice but to finish it. Quick reminder, everybody, to subscribe or resubscribe. Use your Twitch Prime, and also follow me on YouTube, and I will follow you back. So there you go. So this started because I watched the. We finally watched the Bon Jovi, actually the John Bon Jovi documentary series. Nothing really, nothing in that like I didn't already know, but it was cool to, it's cool to see it. Now I don't think I have anything else to watch like that I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this or that. You know, it's all over now. All over now. Must have been love, but it's over now. Anybody got anything fun, exciting to do this weekend coming up? Anything this week? My wife on Monday night did a charcuterie board kind of set up for us with all the various cheeses that Nick Zinn brought to MondoCon, and then she bought some summer sausage and some sausage soaked in bourbon, and then some grapes, and then some apple jelly, and then she made a couple of baguette breads that we had, and and then that cheese that's really super soft, delicious. I have a huge concert on Saturday. Is it Janet Jackson again? Is it another Janet Jackson one? But was it a scallop head charcuterie? I wish it was. I wish it was. Actually, it wasn't even a board. It was just like a cookie sheet with it was a cookie sheet with parchment paper on top. DJ Jazzy Jeff, Paula Abdul. Who else is gonna be? New Kids on the Block. Really? This concert gets better and better and better. Is Kid and Play gonna be there? What is DJ Jazzy Jeff without the Fresh Prince? What's he just gonna play the loop of the music that parents just don't understand for 20 minutes? That's it. More than I know, right? You can't. You don't. Why do any more than that? Why are you going to see? I'm guessing New Kids is headlining and KOTB. That the headliner? Is like your girlfriend into that stuff? Is that what it is? When we did watch the boy band documentary, though, my wife sang along. She knew every Backstreet Boys song, New Kids on the Block, every NSYNC song. She knew all of those, which I thought was funny. I'll find out what the DJ has on his turntables. Yeah, you got to figure that out. Yeah, we're gonna need we're gonna need a report on that of what's he actually playing. I'm sure at some point, I'm sure at some point he'll play some of that. That's parents just don't understand. It's like the only one I know, or he'll sing like they'll do like the music for the Fresh Prince of Bel Air show, and the crowd will go nuts, and I'll just be standing up there just rocking. NKOTB is headlining, and yes, she wanted to see Paula. Paul's a little long in the tooth now, but that's your thing. Was your girlfriend even born when Paula Abdul was something? It was like her mom used to listen to it when she was in the womb. Is that what that's going to be? Remember the big Balla Paula tour? I don't know what you're even saying there. I do remember when she was on that show, and then one of the singers accused her of having an affair with him, and then getting him voted off or something. It was like a 5-minute controversy. Headbangers Paula. I do remember that. when Ricky Rackman cut his hair like Paula Abdul's. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I guess technically I am on the next page from this, even though I haven't. I've written like 10 words today. Next page, Mr. Frank. Next page. Son of a bitch. Ugh. So my wife bought ham and salami and individually sliced American cheese, which we always have in the house. So the last 2 days I've made sandwiches. The problem is that she buys like a pound of each, which is just too much. I'm the only one who eats it. And then like for like 3 or 4 lunches, I'm eating sandwiches. Yesterday I had them on plain bagels. Today cinnamon raisin bagels. But I'm like, I still have enough to eat for tomorrow. I just don't want to eat ham and salami sandwiches again. But then if you don't eat it, it just rots. Wasn't there a thing you were supposed to add to the channel points? Yes, but I don't remember what that is. Tell me what that is, and I'll write it down. So I remember. What was it? Channel points add. I don't remember what that is. Hopefully you can remember what it is, Frank, because I can't remember. I can't remember shit at this point. Was it a dancing Bon Jovi? Bottom of the screen. Yeah, I can't remember either. I don't remember what we were talking about the other day. I think that was last week, wasn't it? Wasn't that last Friday? I don't know. I might be on tomorrow. There's a chance I'll be on tomorrow. As remembering Nick Zinn's job. Yeah, somebody needs to remember some things. I will definitely be here on Friday. Now, next week, Tuesday night, we leave for Nashville. So I will not be on next Wednesday or next Friday. But I'll be back in September. On Labor Day, I'll actually be on. I should be on. Unless I'm tired. It's like a thing you do a bunch. Yeah, Nick remembers the cheese. What was it? This is going to bother me. If you remember at any point, Frank, message me. I remember it was something that was like, oh, that's pretty good, and then I didn't write it down or remember it. Was it Armand gets mad at something? No, I give those for free. That's a freebie. I remember. I remember, and I'm not telling you. I'm just going to set it up. All right, I remember it. It does. It's along those lines. So I will definitely, once I get off here in about a minute or two, then I will definitely add it. And then when you look down the list tomorrow or Friday, you'll be like, oh, that was it. So it's good to add things to the for people to redeem. The suspense will kill us all. All of you will be killed with the suspension of this. I got to check the Friday replay. I'm about to get off here, and then I'm immediately going to add it to the list. So it will be on there for I would imagine for the next time, because I got to figure out how to add it to the list as well. You should watch the Friday replay too. That helps me. Watch it on YouTube though. I've been getting a lot of people who've been watching the replay of this on Twitch and also on YouTube, which is pretty cool. I also got to remember to keep my mouth shut about certain things, people. All right, I'm going to wrap this bad boy up. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. And I will definitely see everybody on Friday. Might see everybody tomorrow. I probably will have to see you tomorrow because it's probably the only way I'm going to get any writing in. I'm trying to get ahead because I know Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when I'm in Nashville, I'm going to be not writing at all. So I want to try to get ahead because then yeah. All right. Talk to everybody. Have a great, safe day. Just today, though. Tomorrow, I don't give a shit.